All right. So our next question comes from Doug. Like we mentioned, Doug is an in-person client with me here in New York. We interviewed him on the PRS podcast. So if you can check that episode out, that inspirational interview. Doug loves Alyssa, and Alyssa loves Doug as well. They have
We've got a thing going on.
a long distance relationship. But just for reference, Doug is, if you haven't listened to his episode, he's not Alyssa's age. He's 78 years old. They're not like, it's not like a real relationship. It's just like very friendly and cute. We love our little old men clients. They're just like one of our favorite populations to work with outside of the competitive powerlifter. And so when Doug hits PRs, which is every day in the gym here at the PRS Training Center, I tell Alyssa what he did, and she cheers him on from Pennsylvania. So anyway, the next question and he also asks me multiple questions every training session. He gets his own little private podcast in my gym. So this question is for Alyssa. Okay, the basic squat, bench, press, and deadlift are the core exercises for the power lifter or the strength lifter. How well do they add strength to the muscles that support the neck and head? What are the best accessory exercises for adding strength to the neck? How important is it to have strong muscles supporting the head?
So, Doug, you're already doing the best exercises to strengthen, whether it's your neck or what we think of as the core. And I think that those types of questions come up a lot with the people who are doing the lifts and don't see a ton of accessories in their program. I don't know what Doug's program looks like, but
SBD.
yeah, so you are strengthening your neck. The other thing is that your neck is holding your head all day. That's like the
Yeah.
and I don't think I actually might defer to you here because I don't know why he's asking this or if he has concerns about his
Maybe
neck.
he's concerned about me because my neck is lately.
He's probably asking a question for you.
He said the cutest thing in the gym I was like, oh, Doug, you're annoying me. Why are you saying this? But he was like, oh, I probably know more about the neck than you do and I was like, okay, so what should I do for my neck, Doug? And he's like, well, my chiropractor told me to do this and this and this exercise. I was like, okay, just for reference, that's not what I need to do. I was like, so I don't know, maybe it comes
He might be
asking this for me, like, why, whatever. But
so when you're doing the lifts, especially when you're doing them properly, which I know that you are because you have a great coach, you're keeping your neck in a neutral position. You're isometrically contracting those muscles. You are maintaining tension and you're using them. They're not left out
of the load that you're lifting. So every 2.5 pounds we add to the squat and to the deadlift and to the bench and the overhead press, that's 2.5 pounds of resistance that we're adding to your neck as well. And Doug and I had this conversation. I don't remember when he asked this, but he asked about like I think one of the things that he struggles with is that, okay, like squat is a leg exercise, deadlift is a leg and a back exercise, and upper body is like an arm exercise. And I think that this is a concept that a lot of newer people to barbell training who are coming from other types of resistance training or exercise believe that or feel that these exercises only work a certain portion of your body. But the main barbell lifts work every single muscle is involved in moving the bar from point A to point B and back to point A in every barbell lift. And they function directly or indirectly. So we have movers and we have stabilizers. And the stabilizers have to match or slightly exceed the load that's on the bar in order to keep that area of the body stable while you're moving the bar. So the argument then could be, well, if we're isometrically stabilizing the neck, what about situations where we're moving the neck, in space, right? Like, but actually our heads very rarely push against an external resistance. So the only external resistance that our necks really work against are our head. right?
Yeah. And I guess, gravity, depending on
Gravity,
what
but
position we're in.
right, gravity.
But you can lift your head, if you're
You
laying
know,
in bed and want to look up, you're able to do that.
yeah.
For
It's
I'm
not like someone's coming and like pushing down on your head and you have to meet that resistance. Gravity, if you are able to sit up and hold your head up, you already are strong enough to maintain your head's position and resist it against gravity. The other situations that we're looking at are, okay, if let's say we're a fighter or we're in a car accident. Like car accidents, obviously, like we want to be strong so that when we do get in a car, if we do get in a car accident, our bodies can resist that force as much as possible. In car accidents, we can't obviously resist the whole force. There's no way that we're ever going to be able to resist the whole force. But if you're stronger than you were yesterday, today you can resist that car accident force a little bit more than you could yesterday when you were weaker, right? So there's the concept, all for fighters and whatever, they tend to like to do neck exercises um because they can meet resistance against another human being. They get punched in the head or they get shoved to
maybe
the
Doug
floor.
is getting into fighting.
I know, maybe he's
We
getting
don't
into fighting.
know.
But I can't really think of like another scenario where I would have someone train their neck. And this kind of comes down to the concept of training versus practice, like strength training versus practice. So we want to get our bodies as strong as possible, our muscles as strong as possible, and then whatever sport that we're engaged in, the skills, we have to practice those skills and do those skills, sparring, scrimmages, like all those things, agility, all those things to practice the skills of the sport is how we then apply and transfer the strength that we're doing in the gym, whether it's isometric or concentric and eccentric. So whether it's a stabilizing movement, a stabilizing muscle, or a moving muscle, generally speaking, all those muscles work the same as stabilizers and movers in all of our other sports. So we just have to practice the sport in order to apply that strength that we're gaining in strength training in our sport. So I don't, I mean, it's, and to answer the last question or the last two questions, I mean, I don't think there's really any accessory exercise that we need to do for the neck. I've never programmed an accessory exercise for the neck. I do have one client who does BJJ and he incorporates his own neck strengthening exercises. They make those things that you can attach to the cable. I had one other client who was a physical therapy client and he did that all the time in the gym, but I've never programmed that for anyone. I don't think it's necessary, except maybe if you're a fighter. And then how important is it to have strong muscles to support the head? I mean, very important.
But you have them.
But you have them. If
They're doing it.
If you're sitting up straight and your head isn't falling over, you're supporting your head. In instances where people have neck pain or they have prolonged position neck pain, it could be a sign of weakness, and that they do need to work on strengthening. But really, these are strong endurance muscles than anything else. So our stabilizing muscles, our postural muscles, really function as, and they're more towards the endurance type than they are towards the like resistance type, if that makes sense, like applied resistance.